The following is a presentation of the Redskins Broadcast Network.
I had never seen an athlete that could do the things Charley could do.
He was faster than anybody I know.
I always say that he was the best receiver that I threw to.
Probably one of the best elusive player I've ever seen as far as avoiding would-be tacklers.
The moves he made after he caught the ball were absolutely amazing.
He's looking for Charley Taylor. Reception on the 10-yard line. He rolls out of bounds, but Charley Taylor pulls it in.
Who is that guy? That's the biggest wide receiver I've ever seen in my life.
He loved to compete. He loved to play the games. He played them hard, played them all hard.
He was feared, absolutely feared.
Anytime you got the ball to Charley, you knew big things were going to happen.
Oh, there's Mr. Clutch, Charley Taylor.
Hands down, he's the best I've ever seen.
Charley is one of the greatest athletes to come through the NFL.
He could have played anything, any position, and he'd have been in the Hall of Fame.
Charley Taylor is coming home. Not to Grand Prairie, Texas, where he was born, but to holy ground for Washington Redskins fans, RFK Stadium. For 13 years, Taylor made jaws drop, fists pump, and opponents fume. For 13 more as a coach, he helped legends in waiting weave their legacies into rich burgundy and gold tapestry. He broke records, he helped others do the same, and was one of only 2 men contributing to all 5 Washington Super Bowl teams as both coach and player. Along the way, taking his rightful place among NFL immortals. A dazzling, bruising journey of triumph. But can a man truly go home again? For this gridiron veteran, the answer is yes. Dream big, play hard. The official motto of Grand Prairie, Texas, where Charles Robert Taylor was born in 1941. The second of 7 children, Taylor wasted no time living up to that motto, playing, dominating every sport he could find.
And then when it came to high school football, it was just automatic, you know.
As a running back for the Dragons of segregated Dalworth High School, Taylor was an athletic standout. All-state track speed, point guard agility, and home run power. But football held his heart.
I wanted to be like Jim Brown. He was unreal as a player, and he never got hurt, you know, and he ran over people, and he ran around people, and he ran through people. So, I mean, what more could you want a running back to do?
Taylor's high school years took him to a state championship in 1958. His team lost to rival Livingston Dunbar. But somewhere in the hard soil of those Texas proving grounds, the dream big of his hometown motto was taking root. But was Texas big enough to contain those dreams? All but one of the schools in the state were segregated. Charley had to look elsewhere for college.
You had to leave the state of Texas, really.
I don't think Charley was surprised that he couldn't get into any school in Texas. A lot of guys even accepted it as the norm and the way it is. Not necessarily the way it should be, but that's just the way it is.
That was just the way things were then. You adjusted and you dealt with it.
Blacks couldn't go anywhere but to the black institutions. So there would be 10, 12, 14 guys deep in every position because they couldn't go anywhere else.
What that kind of discrimination, what that kind of attitude does to a man, what it can do to a man, is instill in him a determination. I will show you something.
Taylor's opportunity to show something came from Frank Cush, head coach at Arizona State University.
There was a guy who owned a grocery store in Grand Prairie who attended Arizona State. So he had called Frank and said, look, we got this high school player down here. You guys need to come look at him.
You look at Charley Taylor, he's got all of the physical characteristics that you would want out of an athlete. He could run track and just probably play basketball and do everything. And I think that he wanted to get out of that area. And I think that's one of the reasons we got him.
If Taylor's Texas grit was Lone Star born, it was about to mature in the remote woodland outpost of Camp Tontozona, where Cush conducted a grueling test of will. He called it summer camp.
The scenery up there is remarkable. It's the high mountains and then the stream down at the bottom of the hill.
I mean, woods forever. You can get lost up there if you're not familiar with it.
Postcard views were misleadingly ironic, considering the intense and punishing workouts Cush put his players through.
And we had guys walking out in the middle of the night on Sunday after church, calling Mom come pick them up. You know?
All season long, Taylor never wavered, nor did Cush's take-no-prisoners level of intensity.
We were playing one of the Texas small colleges. We blew the game. So we get back to Phoenix. Frank has another workout. And we scrimmaged for like 30 minutes. I'm going, wait a minute, this got to be against the rule, man. Frank did not mind. He turned the lights on, we had a scrimmage. He was just amazing, man. But he knew talent. He knew how to get the best out of everybody.
Charley's best was pretty good. This two-time All-American made his mark as a running back, but he also was impressive as, listen to this, a receiver, kick returner, and defensive back. In 1962, he led his team in scoring and interceptions and was twice named to the All-Western Athletic Conference. During his senior year, averaging 6.8 yards per carry, this young man became the highest ASU selection in NFL draft history. A team he could easily have been on in an unsegregated world, the Texas Longhorns won the national championship that year. But once again, Taylor played the hand he was dealt. Up next, from draft day disappointment to rookie of the year, Taylor Made for the Hall is presented by Geico. 1964, the NFL draft approaching. Charley Taylor is dreaming of two things: playing professional football and doing it in his home state, Texas.
I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to be right at home, man, right there with the Cowboys, because Gil Brandt said, we're going to draft you. Don't worry about it. Well, I didn't realize that Washington and Dallas had the same record.
With two suitors sharing the same record, Taylor's future would be determined by a simple method: a coin toss.
Washington won. But it all worked out for the best.
For Taylor, another unwelcome hand. For the Redskins, a look at this royal flush.
Well, after I shed a tear, I go, okay, let's go to work.
Under second-year coach Bill McPeak, the 1964 Redskins were coming off a 3-11 season. But there was reason for hope. All-Pro gunslinger Sonny Jurgensen acquired from the Eagles, legendary linebacker Sam Huff from the Giants, and high-stepping Bobby Mitchell was still in his prime.
Oh, God. The man. I walk up in here, well, and he goes, well, Bobby was the first black player the Redskins had. I go, Bobby, and I go, Bobby who? I go, Bobby Mitchell from Cleveland. I go, oh, that's Bobby.
As I remember, he was just a young guy who was just into everything. He had his nose into everything, wanted to know everything.
And Bobby was a senior guy. So I just patterned myself after Bobby. I called Bobby twice, 3 or 4 times a day. What time is practice? What do we wear? Where we gonna meet? What time is the bus?
Tell him to leave me alone.
While Mitchell offered moral support, Sam Huff served up a welcoming shot of tough love.
Sam Huff would hit me 3 or 4 times in practice, knock me on my backside.
Hold on, baby, what ahead?
I go, Sam, he go, what's gonna be like at the ball game? Come on, I go.
Taylor's pride had one response.
payback, yeah. I mean, I didn't just take it and go with it. No. I go, who did that? Sam. Bam.
Number 42 would be the rock-carrying muscle of McPete's ground attack. But his college style faced a bumpy transition to the pros.
I don't know if I had a style or not. I just ran for the opening.
Charley Taylor was a running back, but he was an undisciplined running back. He would run around the end. When you'd call an end run, he would be ahead of the guards.
And we had linemen who weren't the fastest guys in the world. So I would be ahead of them sometimes when they sort of make trap.
He would pass them. And you'd say, no, you got to let this develop. He's got to block before you hear, and he said, well, God, they're too slow, you know.
Undisciplined or not, Taylor was a success, rushing for 755 punishing yards and earning Rookie of the Year.
I think a lot of people have probably forgotten how good a running back he was because they've seen him most of his career as a receiver. But I got a chance to see him as a running back, and he was just amazing. He could make cuts almost before his foot touched the ground.
He foreshadowed good things to come by setting an NFL record for running backs with 53 receptions and becoming the first Redskins rookie to make a Pro Bowl. As a unit, the Redskins improved to 6-8. Fool's gold. 1965 started at 0-5, but its highlight came on a rare play. Snap to Jurgensen, pitch to Taylor, pass to Mitchell. Call it the Hall of Fame trifecta. Not enough to salvage a season. By the end of the year, McPete was gone. His successor, Otto Graham, promised a new era of Redskins football.
I believe football should be fun for me as the coach, and also fun for the players and fun for the fans. I can promise you we'll play very exciting, aggressive football.
One of Graham's aggressive moves would have a seismic impact on Taylor's career and NFL history.
So they moved him to receiver.
Charley Taylor could not harness his speed at halfback, so at midseason, Otto Graham switched him to end, where Charley had room to roam.
He didn't want to do it. Hey, what am I going to go out there for?
Why they want to move me? But then I started looking at the numbers from back here and the numbers out here. And I know we needed some help, a lot of help.
Taylor, Mitchell, and fellow Arizona State alumnus Jerry Smith became the game's most feared aerial attack. The first receiving corps to have 3 members ranked in the NFL's top 5 for receptions. With 72, Taylor was king of the mountain.
Charley was very competitive. He was one of the most competitive guys I've ever seen. Is that ego, because he always wanted to be the best out there. Charley would catch a ball and he'd turn a 20-yard pass into an 80-yard touchdown. Couldn't catch him. No one could ever catch him from behind.
And I can remember playing the Cowboys one day, and Charley ran an out, a quick out. I fake it to him. He turns up the field and comes back in. And I hit him as he came back in, because he had the safety going over. I hit him and he goes like 75 yards for a touchdown. And Tom Landry said afterwards, he said, you got to give him credit. We had 3 guys on him.
Anytime you got the ball to Charley, you knew big things were going to happen.
I mean, he could be kidding around and still saying, hey, I'm the only guy that does that.
Bobby Gate instilled something in me. Hey, you got to get off the ball first. And I carried that with me through my playing career and my coaching career. You got to get off the ball. If you don't get off the ball, you ain't got nothing.
It was an amazing year because we could do anything we wanted to do. And if I must say so, we were pretty darn good out there together.
The magic, undeniable. But to change a culture would take sweat, guts, and heart. When Taylor Made for the Hall continues, Mr. Lombardi goes to Washington, and the Redskins go on a winning streak. As the 1967 season began, clearly Charley Taylor had found his purpose. A wide receiver for only a year, already the best in the game. The team was a different story, struggling to achieve mediocrity. After losing campaigns in '67 and '68, the Otto Graham era was done.
Well, we had some holes on defense, and we realized that, and we tried, and we didn't get down on each other. We loved our defense, who we had.
Yes, we struggled to win, but we had some great players, some of the greatest players to play the game. It was just a matter of time before we put it all together, I think.
In 1969, that time was at hand.
This is the proudest moment of my life with the Redskins to present to you for this conference, Vince Lombardi.
I'm very happy to be here, believe me. Most happy to be a Washington Redskin.
When do you expect to have a winner? The first year, the second?
I'd like to have a winner the first year, if possible.
A winning season for a team that had not had one in 14 years. A difficult goal. How would Vince Lombardi do it?
Lombardi applied a lot of pressure on you with the idea that if you could handle his pressure, the games would be easy.
He was tough, but that was all to make you a winner. I was just honored to be on the field with the guy. I'd seen some of his teams and knew that he didn't take any BS. He wanted quality, and just happy to have him on board, yeah.
Also on board, courtesy of Lombardi's first draft, the most promising rookie running back the team had seen since Charley Taylor.
Larry Brown. Being from Texas, we think the best high school football is in Texas. But this guy come out of Pennsylvania, I'm going, who is this Larry Brown kid out of Pennsylvania?
Larry Brown had some problems in the beginning. But once the first-year man hit his stride, he rushed for 888 yards, the most ever by a Redskin rookie.
We would put basic stuff in, and it would work, like the sweep, Green Bay sweep.
When they call the famous Vince Lombardi sweep, Charley was known for making these vicious blocks on the outside linebacker.
My thing, I didn't mess around, I'd go find somebody.
He put guys out of the game. He'd knock them out.
Especially their better linebackers who were chasing Larry.
When Brown wasn't seeing daylight from Taylor's blocks, he was learning from Taylor's game and wondering what inspired that permanent smile.
Charley was always laughing or smiling, one or the other.
Wide receiver Charley Taylor. Always smiling, because he knows you're not going to get him. He'll get you.
The moves he made after he caught the ball were absolutely amazing.
Style, frenetic, a cross between pinwheel and whirlwind.
Most of the time, big guys are not fast, but here you had a big, fast, and shifty athlete. Back then, that was big.
I remember sitting there and going, oh my God. His moves were absolutely just mind-boggling and incredible to me.
Moves uncanny and frustrating to most opponents.
Man, that should have been me.
But Charley just keeps smiling and whirling.
Taylor, like every Redskin, had good reason to smile. Under Lombardi, the team jumped off to a 4-1 record. Finally, a coach who preached the value of all three phases of the game, not just concerned with developing talent, but unity, brotherhood, the feeling each man had the other's back, coach and player alike.
I remember playing Pittsburgh, and I got hit in the mouth, and they went there ready to stitch me back up, and Coach Lombardi held one hand, and his priest held the other hand. And I'm going, whoa, this thing, I can handle this. I got Lombardi and Father Swader on one side and Lombardi on another. I'm covered.
It was one of the few times Taylor was covered all season, as he put up his second highest career numbers. As the final home game ended, Taylor's signature smile was reflected on faces of these delirious fans, cheering and celebrating a team assured of a winning record for the first time in 14 years. Lombardi beat a losing culture into submission and bulldozed a clear path toward the promise of sustained success. In 1970, That path was blocked by the force of an emotional devastation that fractured the NFL's foundation. Vince Lombardi, the greatest coach ever, was dead. Once again, the Redskins were leaderless, rudderless. But soon to come, a man who would steady the team, settle the locker room, and point the way. Coming up, a new coach has the Redskins rising as Charley Taylor takes a fall. Tailor Made for the Hall is brought to you by Geico and by Eureka.
Mr. Edward Bennett Williams, president of the Washington Redskins football team.
Tragedy struck the Washington Redskins in 1970, right on the eve of our season opener. Death took Vince Lombardi away from us. I had to turn once again and try to go out and get Washington a winner. There was only one place to go, in my mind, and that was west for George Allen.
Today starts a new era as far as the Washington Redskins are concerned.
He doesn't swear, smoke, drink, or spit. His favorite beverage is milk. His favorite movie is The Sound of Music. And his middle name is Herbert. George Allen is so square, says a rival coach, that you could roll him on a Las Vegas craps table. Yet George Allen is a man for his time and certainly a man for his place.
The future is now. George Allen's battle cry. He dumped draft picks like bad stocks, filling roster holes with cast-offs, rejects, and presumed past their prime veterans.
That's okay.
With iconic Bobby Mitchell retired, one of those holes was at wide receiver. Former Steeler and Colt Roy Jefferson was ready.
Oh, God. Roy, my man Roy Jefferson.
We were kindred spirits, you know, and it was like I rooted for him.
Roy could just blow right by you, man. He had that kind of speed where, bam, he's gone, you know.
Charley could stop on a dime, so I had to teach myself how to stop on a dime to run the kind of routes that Charley ran. When I got there, my thought was Charley is the man. I mean, he and Sonny Jurgensen and Jerry Smith and then George Allen's the coach. Man, I said, we could really do some damage, you know.
Possibly, Allen's most successful trade was his first, quarterback Billy Kilmer from the Saints. When Jurgensen went down, Kilmer had a quick opportunity to show his worth. Eager to help was his new target.
I got to practice a lot with Charley, and Charley would stay out, and we would throw patterns together, and, you know, he'd work at it, and as long as I wanted to throw, he'd stay out there. And so we got to good rapport.
Billy was a tough guy, all out, 24/7. Now, what I figured out to do, I could help Billy out by making that throw he just got out, making it complete.
You see these guys at 4.3, you know, they go out in shorts and T-shirts and they can run 4.3. Charley could do it in a full football uniform. He was faster than anybody I know.
In an early game against the already hated Cowboys, Kilmer could only marvel at Taylor's lethal physicality.
I called an audible at the line, and Charlie Haraway a sweep to the weak side. And he made a crack back block. He hit him so hard, that guy didn't get up for a while. And Haraway, he ran 50-some yards for a touchdown and broke the game open. But that block really set that hole up.
The Redskins went on a head-turning 5-game winning streak to start the season. Lombardi planted the seeds. Allen grew the crops.
I want you to get everyone to feel that way. Damn, you guys been here and been through the losing years, and now we want to win. Let's have 3 cheers for the Redskins. Hip, hip! Hip, hip! Hip, hip!
The streak was broken at Kansas City. So was Charley Taylor's ankle. On the ambulance ride back from the hospital, hometown drivers cranked up the radio as the Chiefs mounted a comeback. Taylor's proud, competitive nature could not stand it.
I asked him, would you please turn that down? I don't want to hear that. I said, again, I go, well, just let me out. Sure enough, they pulled over to the side. I crawled out the back of the ambulance, and I'm walking back. I think to the stadium, I'm not sure where I am. And the patrolman picked me up on the highway.
That's the first time I've ever heard that story. Gee whiz. He got out of the thing. He was going to go play.
As far as I know, it's true. I remember this, and we said, "What's wrong with him?"
Some of the guys for whom I have just the utmost of respect are so invested in the game that they might be inclined to do irrational things. I have no doubt about that at all. So yeah, I'm gonna buy that one.
Taylor was done for the year. This blow kept a special season from becoming extraordinary.
And we went to the playoffs, and we ran out of gas against the 49ers and John Brody, and they beat us in the first round of the playoffs.
If Charlie had been healthy all year, we'd have been in the Super Bowl that year.
Their year would come in '72. With Taylor back, the revitalized offense left a scorched trail while the defense knocked down opponents. On Christmas Eve against the Packers, an early gift, Washington's first playoff victory in more than a quarter century. New Year's Eve would see the biggest game in Washington since the days of Slinging Sammy Baugh. Billy and Charlie were ready to turn the calendar. Up next, he once dreamed of playing for the Cowboys. Now he was their New Year's Eve nightmare. Tailor-made for the Hall continues. New Year's Eve, 1972, the NFC Championship game. Some took this rain-soaked night as a bad omen, but it was tailor-made football.
Redskins and Cowboys, they just don't mix. It's like oil and water, don't mix.
The world champion Cowboys oozed confidence. Even Coach Tom Landry mindlessly insulted the Redskins quarterback before the game. A grand mistake.
Tom Landry said, the reason we're going to win the game today is that Roger Staubach's a better athlete than Billy Kilmer. I could have played right then. I mean, I was ready to go.
Kilmer pumped his anger into razor-sharp clothesline passes he wasn't usually known for. One of them found Taylor for the first touchdown in the second quarter.
As Kilmer drops straight back, being rushed, throws his pass to the end zone to Taylor. Touchdown, Washington! Charley Taylor taking another perfectly thrown pass from Billy Kilmer.
Last quarter, Washington 10, Dallas 3, still anyone's game. All-pro safety Charlie Waters' injury left Taylor covered by Mark Washington, one career start under his belt. That had Kilmer frothing with anticipation.
They were saying, well, what are we going to do? Blah, blah. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to run a play action and just let Charlie fly.
Kilmer dropping back. Gonna heave long to the right side, way down the right side. It is caught for a touchdown. Another Washington touchdown, and again it's Charley Taylor.
The ball was snapped. I ran the route, beat the guy. Now it's up to Billy to get the ball to me. And I'm thinking, he's been throwing short all day, so I better slow down. I looked back, and the ball was perfect.
I threw a perfect spiral. And Charlie, he was running, but I said, oh, darn it, I've overthrown him.
Now I got to step on it because I'm late, okay?
And all of a sudden, he put on a burst of speed, and it was like he just cradled in his arms.
And the ball was flowing down easy, 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 and I go, he didn't throw it. No, he didn't. Yeah. I'm going, Billy.
And a lot of people don't remember it was a perfect spiral.
To me, that was Billy Kilmer's finest exhibition of being a quarterback.
That was probably right there as one of the top throws and thrills that I ever got out of the game.
That's it. The Redskins are going to leave this field. And look at the mob coming on the field for the Redskins. A huge mob. Thousands streaming out here. Thousands and thousands of people. Out of the stands. They've appeared like magic. They're all over the field.
So the Super Bowl match, 2 weeks from today in Los Angeles. Undefeated Miami against the Washington Redskins, who will take a record into the Super Bowl of 13-3.
For Taylor, Super Bowl VII was the 58 state championship all over, one step short of the goal. As a player, that was as close as Taylor would get to a championship. But his remaining 5 years still brought special moments, some with a new quarterback.
Charley was wonderful, really tried to help. Roy was always wonderful. Jerry would offer the same kind of solace, and they didn't give me a hard time. I took that as taking me under the wing, because I caught flack from everybody.
Joe was a good guy. He just had he could keep, today he can't do it, you know? See, a lot of people don't know the record I broke, Joe Theismann was the quarterback. And we did it right here at RFK.
Eliminated from the playoffs at the end of the 1975 season and losing to the Eagles at home, faithful fans ignored rain to see Charley make one catch, his 634th, an all-time receptions record. While the execution was pedestrian, an 11-yard screen pass, even the Eagles gave Charley his props for his stellar body of work crowned by those 11 yards.
It all worked out. We all were happy. I was glad it was over. My teammates came out and gave me proper deals, and it was just unreal.
Charley would make the toughest catches look easy. His hands had sometimes just shocked the living daylights out of it. They were so good.
There's Mr. Clutch, Charley Taylor.
His route running was precise. That's something from a quarterback's perspective that is very important to us. Charley would always be where he was supposed to be.
He's looking for Charley Taylor. Reception on the 10-yard line. He rolls out of bounds, but Charley Taylor pulls it in.
And then he had also the ability to adjust to throws. Remember, he caught the ball from me, caught it from Billy, caught it from Sonny, so he had a lot of different guys throwing him the football. Sonny's was soft and sweet. Billy's had a little bit of wiggle to it every now and then. Mine was a three-quarter sidearm, so the delivery was different. The ball was different when it came to him. He wasn't afraid to stretch out and reach for a ball either, which you don't see a lot of receivers willing to do because they want to protect their ribs. Charley just figured if a safety hit him, somewhere along the game he was going to hit that safety.
Injury ended Taylor's 1976 season before it started. He went home to Texas to get well. To make the playoffs that year, the Redskins had to beat Dallas. To do that, Coach Allen gave Taylor a very special mission. People still can't believe it.
He wanted me to be part of the team, so he said, I want you to go to Dallas, I want you to go talk to Coach Landry, see what they're trying to do. And I'm thinking, he's kidding me, okay?
Come on, let's get going!
I go by the Dallas facility over there, and the little lady said, well, they're in a meeting right now, and Coach Landry's over here meeting with the defense. So I said, well, I sit right here and wait, you know. Instead of sitting down, I walked right into the meeting. And players looked at me like, who's this guy? They were working on stopping Larry Brown from catching passes out the backfield. I go, oh, okay. So I come back out of the meeting, run into Coach Landry. He said, how you doing, Charlie? Well, man, good. Thank you, glad you came over. Yeah, I got on the phone to George. All right, they're gonna double Larry out the backfield.
I'm not buying that one. I believe George Allen, though, might have tried something as ridiculous as that. But I think that George is smart enough. He would have at least put a disguise on the dude. You know what I mean?
It's hard for me to believe that they let him just walk around. Charlie got to bring me more than that.
Taylor only caught 14 passes in 1977. The over-the-hill gang, even more over the hill now. By season's end, it was time. 8 Pro Bowls, 649 receptions, 9,110 receiving yards. When he retired, the most prolific receiver in NFL history. His Redskins legacy was far from complete. Coming up, a Super Bowl player shutout becomes a world champion coach. Tailor-made for the Hall is presented by Geico. No longer a player by 1978, it was Taylor the scout under GM Bobby Beathard, keeping in touch with players on the field. Among them, a fella he met in 1980, a fella who would replace him in record books.
Yeah, we were in a practice up at Syracuse out on the field, and the coach came over and said, hey, you got some scouts here looking at you. What's Charley Taylor's from the Redskins? And he showed me where he was. I looked over at him, and I was kind of excited and nervous at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was so light on his feet, man. Fast, smart, great hand, and he was a leader.
Another former running back turned receiver. Monk was Taylor's twin in his prime. He broke the 1980 Redskins rookie record for receptions. When Joe Gibbs took over the next year, Taylor's savvy and sharp eyes earned a promotion to receivers coach.
It's hard to gain respect from football players. They look at me as a coach. I'm a coach. I wasn't good enough to play in the NFL. Charley was. And I think Charley had that respect because of what he had done, the way he had played.
In 1982, Monk went down. The same happened to Taylor in '71. But thanks to Taylor, this time, a replacement was ready.
I ran across a guy named Charlie Brown. It was on nobody's book. Nothing I'm bragging about myself. I was lucky. Knock on wood, I was lucky. But he was quick enough, hands enough, could leap, jump out of the gym. So I called Bobby, and Bobby said, hey.
Brown was crucial for the Redskins' drive through the playoffs, ending again with a home victory over the Cowboys for a trip to the Super Bowl. And yes, in this case of '72 deja vu, the Redskins faced the Dolphins. The similarities ended there. Finally, Charley Taylor would have his ring.
Theismann. Will he run it? No. He throws it for a touchdown. Charlie Brown.
10 years later, we come back and it's a whole different attitude. We didn't work them too long. They went out and played their hearts out.
The next year, Tom Skinner, team chaplain and friend, inducted Charley Taylor into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
When Charley Taylor would enter the end zone 79 times during his career, he would enter the end zone with a touchdown and lift his hands high. And he was once asked, Charley, why do you lift your hands when you enter the end zone? And Charley would say, it's simply a statement to the crowd. It's a statement to the world. And the statement is that I rest my case. Today, we are here to enshrine a man who has ultimately and finally rested his case.
I'm sort of at odd about turning and walking through those great doors behind me there. I know that is the top. I know that is the top. I stand here today and it's kind of hard to say how great you were when you were dealing with a team sport. So I can only accept this award and this induction and this enshrinement and bring in those great teammates of mine who, in my estimation, made me what I am today. Without you, I probably would be just a little straggly, hungry country boy now in Texas, and I thank all of you for being a part of my life. To walk in that great door behind, those great doors behind me will be just the start of a new life for Charley Taylor.
Taylor's body of work did not fade away. Under his eyes, mind, and hands, the receivers got better and better. And by '86, the addition of Gary Clark and Ricky Sanders completed the most dominating receiving trio since Taylor, Smith, and Mitchell. These new ones call themselves the Posse.
Personality-wise, I probably was the most like Charley because I was not going to take any garbage off of anybody. And if you talk trash to me, I was going to bury you. That made me a better player. And Charley was the same way. If you talk trash to Charley, you're going to pay. He's going to make you pay for it because he's going to outperform you in ways that you're better off just being quiet.
The thing that Charley had, the receivers, the guys that he coached, respected him. So when he told them something, they would listen because he knew what he was talking about.
When I was talking to Charley as a rookie, I could understand exactly what he was telling me to do. I mean, the moves that I should make, because he knew about those moves, because he was a player who played the position. He understood it well.
He taught us more, not just about running routes, but some of the nuances about hand movement, head movement, using your elbows, and little things that most receivers just don't know that really help separate you from the rest of the crowd. And I really adapted to those things and really helped me as a player.
In 1987, back to the Super Bowl. This time, the proud receivers coach watches as his posse rampages, racking up a 35-point second quarter, leaving the football world breathless and Taylor with ring number 2. By the end of '89, his posse was the NFL's first receivers trio in which each secured over 1,000 receiving yards. And in 1991, another Super Bowl victory. In '92, another milestone.
Here it is. There it is. Well, you can say to your friends, you saw it live. The man who's caught more passes than any player who's ever played the game.
By 1994, the curtain lowered on Taylor's career, spanning 3 decades, 3 world titles, and too many memories to count. Number 42, still king of the mountain, still all smiles. Taylor Made for the Hall is brought to you by Geico and by Eureka. The question isn't, can a man go home again? But should he? What's waiting for him shapes the answer. For Charley Taylor, the Redskins family will never forget, never let him go.
Oh, man. From Grand Prairie to the Hall, back here. I feel myself floating a little bit. I love this place.
He was the best of the best in the NFL. Very few guys can say that.
Beyond what he accomplished on the field, was a man who taught all of us who were exposed to him something very important. He taught us character. He taught us what it meant to dig deep within oneself in order to live up to one's potential.
Charley Taylor, hands down, he's the best I've ever seen.
I'm glad I had him as my coach.
What goes through my heart is how thankful I am that I was able to be a teammate of his.
He was a great teammate.
Well, he was a good teammate because he wanted to win. And one thing you knew about Charley, he wanted to win.
What he did for this city, what he did for this organization. The legacy that he left behind will live forever.
Charley Taylor ran his race with patience, and he endured. He always came back. He always fought back. He would refuse to be counted out.
Charley, I know you're getting old. I know that things hurt like you never even knew they could hurt before. For Charley Taylor, you are still the man. You are still graceful. You still are a gentleman. You still got dignity, my brother. You got all the moves. And as far as I'm concerned, you've been a champion all your life, brother. Charley Taylor, you the man.
We immortalize him today as one of the greatest wide receivers and greatest men to ever play the game of football.
I don't put anyone in the Redskins hierarchy with Charley Taylor. I just think he's the greatest athlete that the Redskins have ever had. And he does not get credit for it, but if people just look, they'll see, greatest athlete the Redskins ever had.
There's one guy who comes up, and I said, that's the biggest wide receiver I've ever seen in my life. And then he started running, and I said, that's the fastest guy I've ever seen in my life. And then I tried to tackle him, I didn't even touch him. And I said, who is that guy? And it was Charley Taylor.